Another reason why I left religion, the church, Christianity, and fundamentalism is because the church shames asexual or aromantic members. So in previous videos, we talked about that asexuality is designed as a lack of sexual attraction to others or a low interest in sexual activity. It's a specific sexual orientation that has received varying degrees of recognition and acceptance. We've talked about how the stereotype that all asexuals aren't interested in relationships or sex in general isn't accurate. There are a lot of people who are aromantic. There are demisexuals who only want a relationship and sex with someone they've emotionally attached to. There are asexuals that want sex at sporadic times. Some have a low sex drive. Some have no interest in relationships at all. And some, which is what I call the default setting of asexuality, people who don't want relationships or sex. Now, asexuality is a broad spectrum, and assuming someone doesn't want anything because they're asexual is very dehumanizing to people. So when you're raised in an environment like I was in Calvinistic Christian fundamentalism, Southern Baptist, you grow up in the world where people worship relationships, marriage, family, and it becomes such an exalted idol. Anyone who isn't pairing off or married by 25 is very left out of social function, social respect, and positions of hierarchy. I did not have any leaders or teachers that were not married or had children. Now, I'm not saying that every denomination of Christianity or all religions shame, alienate, and dehumanize people who don't have the stereotypical heterosexual high sex drive. Because even within heterosexuality, there's a lot of people that don't have a high sex drive. They don't fit into the toxic expectations of they want it all the time based on gender, race, and orientation. It happens a lot that a woman has a higher sex drive than a man, which is really never talked about in the church denominations I've gone to. Women barely had a footnote mentioned in the lust chapter of any books, and a man who didn't want sex would probably be labeled as not as manly. And when you believe these stereotypes that women endure things and men conquer and want sex all the time, you create possible toxic dynamics. What happens if somebody doesn't want a relationship, sex, or family? What if they want to be a child-free wife, or maybe they don't want to get married? And if you don't fit a tiny tunnel vision of heteronormative expectations, you are labeled as odd, broken, weird, unmanly, or unwomanly. You're not broken if you don't want to be like the majority of people on the planet. Just because heterosexuals are the majority does not mean they're the only legitimate source of behavior and desires. There's approximately 1%, or around 80 million people on this planet that would qualify or call themselves asexual. And the different brackets beneath the heading of asexual are vast. To assume that just because someone doesn't want a relationship does not make them asexual. There are many reasons why people just don't want a relationship. Career goals, it could be a hormonal imbalance, it could be bad history with dating partners. It could be it's just not fulfilling for people, or maybe they're just putting it off for a later time.